everyone. My name is Nikita Murthy, Faculty of Information Science and Engineering, Maharaja Institute of Technology, Mysore. In the last class, we saw the principle of network application in the module application layer. Today, we will be learning the web and the HTTP. Now, in this today fast growing internet, we are browsing so many web pages each and every second for so many reasons. We do not need to have a reason to even search a web page. Why are we searching the web page? It could be for so many reasons. It could be for academic reasons, research, or to get some information which we do not know yet, or to get the news. For any reasons we are searching the web page. Now, if we want to open a Facebook page, what we will do? In the search bar, we will type a URL www.facebook.com. When we type this URL facebook.com, we will get a Facebook page opened, isn't it? Who is responding to our request? When we send the request to open a page, who is responding that page? That we will all see in this topic, the web and the HTTP. The first topic which we study under the web and HTTP is the overview of HTTP. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, as I said earlier, when we request the Facebook page, we will be responded with the Facebook web page, isn't it? That means when we type the URL www.facebook.com, that request from the client as the client, that request will be sent it to the web server, and the web server will search the Facebook page from its storage, and then it will respond the Facebook page to the client back. That for that, to govern that or to monitor that process, we need some protocol. That protocol to monitor that which we use it is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That means how the messages has to be sent, and how what is the structure of the message, and what type of connection has to be made. All this will be taken care by the HTTP protocol. It is a application layer protocol for the web, and it is also called as the heart of the web. To design this protocol, the developer has used client server architecture. That means it is implemented using two programs, that is a client program and a server program. As I said, the client will request the web page which he needs, and the server will respond that web page the client has asked. As you see in the diagram, there is a server which is running a web server, and these are the clients, client 1 and client 2. Now, if I want to get a web page which I desire, that I will first request it to the server using a HTTP request, and then server, after searching it through the storage, it will respond back to the client using a HTTP response. That means whatever the client has to request, he has to request using the HTTP request only. That means this is the format, using the HTTP format only you can request the server, and the server using the HTTP format only it will respond back to the client. Now, as you could see, there is a dedicated connection between the client and the server. That means dedicated connection means, as I said in the earlier class, dedicated connection, the reliable data transfer will be provided by TCP connection. That is why the client and the server, here it uses TCP connection to exchange messages between them. The next topic we will be studying under the web and the HTTP is non-persistent and persistent connection. Now, before we move into this non-persistent and persistent connection, as we know, in the HTTP we are using client server communication. That means client will be sending the request and the server will be respond with the to fulfill the request of the client. Now, we should know, before we proceed, we should know what kind of application we are using and how much time we are using the application and how many requests the application is sending back to back. Based on these aspects, we have to develop a client server communication. That means, do we have to terminate the connection after each request, or do we need to open the connection for a subsequent request? These decisions has to be taken by the developer based on these aspects. So, based on this, they have divided the connection into two types: non-persistent connection and persistent connection. In the non-persistent connection, for every request of the client, the server will respond back and then he will terminate the TCP connection. That means for every request we have to create a brand new TCP connection with the server. And then in the persistent connection, what happens means the client will ask the request, the server will respond back. Even after responding, the TCP connection will be open for the subsequent client request. This is the main difference. Now we will see in brief what happens in the non-persistent connection and persistent connection. Now we will see what happens with the non-persistent connection. As I said, in the non-persistent connection, for every request we have to create a brand new TCP connection with the server. That means if you have requested a web page, the server will respond back, and after responding he will terminate the connection. How it will work we will see. Now let us suppose we have requested a web page with the URL www.someschool.edu. Under that we are requesting some department and home page of some department. That means we are requesting the home page of some department inside a someschool.edu. Now using this URL we are requesting the home page of home web page. How we are going to receive this web page, how the connection is established, we will see. Here it is how it is working. First, the client process has to initiate or has to establish a connection with the server. That means it will initiate a TCP connection. This is very necessary. It will establish a TCP connection with the server. The very first step is to, before sending the message, we have to create a communication channel with the server, that is the TCP connection. Next is, it will, after establishing the connection, we have to send a request to the server. How we are going to send a request? Using a HTTP request, we are going to send a message to the server. What happens next? We will see. Next, after establishing the connection, the client is sending the request. After sending the request, your server will receive that request. After receiving the request, your server will look for the request message from its storage. After getting it, what happens? It will send the HTTP response to the client. After sending the request, after sending the response, what happens? The HTTP server will close the TCP connection. That means, after fulfilling the request of the client, the server will close the TCP connection. And then your HTTP client, after receiving the response, what it will do? It will display the web page to the client, and then it will terminate the TCP connection, and these steps is repeated for every request. That means, for every request, the client will send the HTTP request to the server will receive the request, search the web page from its server, and then it will send the HTTP response to the client, and it will close the TCP connection. And the client, HTTP client, after receiving the response, it will display the web page, and then it will terminate the TCP connection. That means, for every request, we are going to create a brand new TCP connection, which that could become a overhead to the server or to the client also. That means, for every request, you have to create a new connection, which is a very big overhead. before we move into the next persistent connection, we have to know a very important concept called round trip time, RTT. That means, now suppose if I have sent a request to the server and then server has responded, that means a packet is moving from the client to the server and then it is moving back to the client. This time we call it as a round trip time. That means, time taken by the packet to travel from the client to the server and then back to the client, this whole time that packet has taken is called as round trip time or RTT. That we can see it in the diagram also. Here there is a client and there is a server, and now we are initiating a TCP connection with the server. The client is initiating a TCP connection with the server. That means, we are sending the request TCP connection message to the server and the server has responded with the acknowledgement saying that the connection is established. That means, a packet has traveled from client to the server and then back to the client. This whole time we call it as a RTT. And then we are requesting, after establishing the connection, we are requesting a file from the server. Now, that request message has traveled to the server and then this is the time to send the entire file. This is the amount of time to send the entire file, and then it has sent the entire file to the client. That means, a request message has traveled to the server and then the response has come back to the client. This whole time we call it as a RTT, round trip time. As I said earlier, in the non-persistent connection, we have to create a new TCP connection for every request. As I said, it is an overhead. We cannot create a new connection for every request. That means, there will be lot of requests we will be sending at each second. For that reason, we came up with a HTTP with persistent connection. That means, in the persistent connection, what happens? Even after the server respond to this request, it will keep the TCP connection open. That means, we can send subsequent request. We can send request back to back with a simple one TCP connection. In a single connection, we can send subsequent request to the server. For that, as it is getting over the overhead of the non-persistent connection, this is the default mode of HTTP. That means, the HTTP uses persistent connection as the default connection. That means, even after sending the response, the server keeps the connection open so that the client can send back to back request. The next topic which we will be studying is HTTP message format. Before we move into this, if two persons are talking to each other, they should have a common understanding language. That means, if I am talking in English, the listener has to be in a position that he should also understand English. That means, if the client and server are exchanging messages, the message format should be in such a format that the client and the server both has to understand that message. For that reason only, HTTP uses a specific kind of message format. Under that, it has a separate format for request message and a separate format for respond message. Why we need to have a two different format for request and the response means to differentiate between the request and the response. If both have the same format means we cannot differentiate which is the request message and which is the respond message. For the same reason, we have a separate format for request and a separate format for response. Now, we will see the request message. What is the format of a request message? Now, we are going to see how the HTTP request message will look like. Here is the sample or the typical HTTP request message. HTTP request message will be divided in two parts. One is request line, the other one is header line. The very first line we call it as the request line and the remaining lines we call it as the header line. The request line is again divided into three types, three fields actually. First one is method field, next is URL field, third is HTTP version field. The request line of the HTTP request is divided into three fields. First is method field, second is URL field, last is HTTP version field. Method field has so many values. It can use get, post, put, etc. Here we are going to get the message. We have to get the object or the web page which we are requesting, isn't it? That means we have to obtain. For that we are using the value get. That means get the request which I am asking. For the same reason I am using the method called get. And the URL which I am looking for, I am going to specify in this field. Now I am looking for a page of some directory. I am looking for a page, some directory, that is why I have specified the URL of that page. And then what is the version of the HTTP which I am using, that also I have to mention. After mentioning all of this, we will come to the header lines. The header line, in the first line of the header line has the field called host. That means on which host the web page I am requesting is present. That means the some directory page is present in the someschool.edu host. That means I have to specify on which host the URL I am asking is present. And next is connection. As I said, the connection of the default connection of the HTTP is persistent connection. That means even after sending the response, the server will keep the connection open. But I do not want that to happen. That is why I am specifically saying that after the sending the response, the connection has to be closed. That means I want a non-persistent connection. Next is user agent. Here we are going to specify what the browser, which kind of browser I am using. Is it the Google Chrome, is it the Mozilla, is it the Opera, whatever the user agent or the browser which I am using, it has to be specified. The reason is that some web pages are not compatible with some of the user agent. As you have know, Google Chrome supports some web pages and the Mozilla supports some other web pages. For the same reason, we have to specify what kind of browser or the user agent I am using. Next is accept language. the web page which you have to display, in which language it has to be displayed, what is the language which you are going to accept, is it the French, is it the German, is it the English. Here I have specified it as English. I want the web page to be displayed in the English language. So, to sum up, the request message of the HTTP is divided into request line. The very first line is called the request line and the remaining are called header lines. The request line have three fields: method field, URL field and the HTTP version field. And then in the header line we are going to specify what is the host which you are using, what kind of connection I want, what type of user agent I am using, and then what is the accept language. This is the general format of the HTTP request message. Here we have a request line and the header line. In the request line we have three fields: method, URL and the version. Method field space URL field space version field. Then we have a CR. CR means carriage return. That means this is the end of the line. Carriage returns means end of the line. LF means line feed. That means go to the new line. And then we have a header lines. In the header lines we have so many fields. First we have a header field name, like host, saying the host on which host the object is present, that we are specifying, isn't it? That header field name space value of that and then carriage return, end of the line, line field, go to the new line. After the request has ended, we are going to provide a blank line with the carriage return and the line feed. We are going to differentiate one request message from the other request message.